Hi everyone. I wonder if I'm going to have to adjust the lights in here a bit. Sorry if it's a bit weird looking. How are you all? Bank holiday weekend. It's like Maddie just said, does that mean anything anymore, Mum? It does a bit. I still feel like it, especially because it's going to be sunny. And it's going to be, yeah. And things are changing. Our Prime Minister's gone start raving bonkers. Things are going to get back to normal. The virus is dying. All these wonderful things are happening. Do you think, do I look a bit weird? Is it too light? Do I need to turn this light down? Let me see. Do I look too light? How does it look? Is it all right? Mark? Can you come and check my light? Could you just check the light? I don't know what's wrong with it. I need your lighting. Does that look weird? Will that be irritating for people? Say hello to everyone.
Hello everyone. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise.
Oh God, no, that's a bit bright.
How's that? Good luck.
Oh no, no, I can't take that. I want light, but I don't want it in my face. Is it because I shouldn't have the overhead light on? Or should I? It's handy having a man that knows. Is that better?
It's intimate.
I think I fancy a Diet Coke, Pepsi Max.
Close your eyes for a minute.
Ah! It's like a horror movie now.
No.
Oh dear, it's very blinding.
Well, no, only you could have a problem with everything.
Oh, now I'm in the dark.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
good.
it's worse now.
Are you live?
Yes. People are there.
Sorry guys. You're going to have to go with that.
Oh, Mark Eastwood. He just joined our channel, so all this is new. Oh, Mark Eastwood.
Okay,
Oh, I
I'm
thought
just
I was
going to
going to
bounce a little bit off your
I've only
eye.
got 15%.
Oh, babe.
Sorry.
Oh, you're so annoying. Can't you be prepared?
Mark Eastwood, that's just mentioned. Well, I did have it on.
You want
I
the
thought
computer? You can use the light from the computer on your face. Let me get...
Oh, okay, darling. Thank you. Mark Eastwood, who's new to our channel. Have you come because we're doing a chat on overeating? Or have you come for some other reason? We do everything on this channel. We have a reality show. We review movies, review TV shows. We do cooking. We do mental health chats quite regularly.
Maybe it's
My
because
husband,
you've just
Mark-
posted on Instagram.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My husband Mark here.
Why has the computer gone off?
I don't know. Don't understand anything. It's all gone weird.
Sorry, there
So
you go.
stick with the
look,
channel. This
you
might
use
not...
that as under the key, and you've got under.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah?
baby. Yeah, that's better.
Do you want the YouTube
Yeah, because I
channel?
can't read anything anyway. I can't do it. Why am I doing it on my own? Yeah, so Mark, if this is all new to you, check out the other stuff on our channel after this chat or before, if you don't find this chat is for you. So tonight's chat is solely about emotional overeating. We'll be doing a live tomorrow at 11 where we can talk again about the whole Boris thing because it's so unbelievable.
It's utterly unbelievable.
But this really is just about emotional overeating because we don't want to get distracted with COVID. So,
There you are.
thank you, darling.
Okay, got it there.
So I suppose the good thing would be, oh, my lighting's terrible.
It's not great, but it's at
Mark, come on.
Babe,
You got to help me, babe.
I can't really.
I look like death warmed up.
There you go. Well, it has to be a bit low.
What about a nice Diet Coke?
Your battery's about to go. Flipping heck. This is good. Do you think we should
I
start
thought I
again?
had charged it up. My favourite pastime, emotional overeating, says Granine. I so overeat through comfort eating. I've put 3 stone on Julie Rose. Butty, not nutty. Had a row with the husband today, 23rd anniversary. Okay now, but just ate a big bar of chocolate and 2 glasses of wine. How can I stop this? Nicola Randall, yeah. Oh, Brenda in PA just joined our channel. Welcome, welcome. Sorry, usually the lighting is much better than this. But you just can't
the
get
level
the
of
staff.
organisation as well. Maybe. Oh my god.
Well, because I forgot that I'm supposed to look at it through the computer. What about my
drink.
Diet Coke? Thanks. Thank you. He's very lovely. For people new to the channel, that's my husband, Mark. Right, okay. So, there's lots of stuff coming up here already. Well, don't worry yourself, Lisa Hill. That's what I would say. Right, okay. I think the best thing for me to do is to start at the kind of beginning. I very rarely drink it, Francoise. So, this isn't a chat about dieting or how to lose weight or any of that. Let's just park to one side the whole thing about what we look like. Can anyone do that and have this chat? Let's just put that to one side. Because actually that's just another symptom of something much...
Pepsi Max I can find.
Oh, I never want a Pepsi Max. No, there isn't one.
I can't find one. There's ginger beer.
Yeah, right, I'll have that, please. Yeah. So, very early on with me, I think I used food to shut up my feelings, but I had no idea of that. I had no idea of that. I think if you come, not so much from my mum and dad's side of the family, my mum's got quite a healthy attitude to food, actually, as has my dad. But my extended family, of which I used to spend a lot of time with all my cousins and aunties and uncles and all that, there was a lot of emotional baggage attached to food. Like, you know, we'd go round on a Sunday to one or other relatives and there'd be piles of food and it would all be about, you know, oh, thanks, darling.
No, there's half of, do you prefer warmer that or colder?
Yeah, I'll
that?
just have this, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You all set?
Thank you. Wouldn't mind a foot rub.
Yeah.
And so very early on, people would comment on what we were eating all the time and comment on our weight. Now, when I look back, I was never overweight when I was a kid, but there was always this insinuation that I would put on weight because everyone in the family puts on weight. So there would be this big thing about loads of food and, oh, you didn't eat. Oh, what, you don't like my food? There would be a lot of sort of that emotional, not on purpose at all, just a different generation in the way that they spoke about food. We all have so much more consciousness about that stuff. Like, you know, really all the stuff about, oh, I'll treat you with a cake, I'll treat you with some chocolate, I'll treat you with a bag of crisps. Never say that. Never say I'll treat you with food to kids, because it basically triggers a thing that, like, when I need to treat myself, when I need to be kind to myself, when I need to be nice to myself, I give myself sugar or salt. Alana Scott, welcome to Family Guest. And it just sets these little patterns in your head. My earliest memory of overeating, strangely, was with apples. I used to self-isolate quite a lot when I was a kid. I'd be either completely, yeah, like Greek families, table full of food, Francoise, exactly. The Arabs and the Greeks are very similar like that. Oh, you didn't eat meat? You didn't have the fish? You're not having the chicken? All that sort of stuff. Yeah. My earliest memory of emotional overeating is, yeah, when I used to self-isolate a bit. So I would be very much like the centre of everything and really outgoing and really outrageous and really funny and really supposedly confident and all those things. And then I would retreat, wouldn't pick up my phone, didn't want to be in if anyone called round. I would just have to isolate because I'd feel like I just almost couldn't be that. I would either be this really big, loud, outrageous character, or I would be somebody just wanting to self-isolate, hide away in the house. And my earliest memory, and at the time I didn't know there was anything wrong with it, but when I look back, was overeating on apples. I would get the bowl of apples and I would get a book and I would lie in my bedroom and I would just eat apples while reading books, just crunch, 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 crunch. Still to this day, I eat an apple all the way around, then I eat the top, then I eat the bottom, and then I eat the core, and the only thing I don't eat are those little scoopy bits where the pip goes. I even eat those sometimes. So that's like my earliest memory of overeating. And I used to, yeah, my mum was really strict about not having, because she was really great, you know, she cooked everything, all her home cooked stuff, but she never allowed any sweets or chocolates or cakes or biscuits or cereal. She told us for years that all the ice cream in the ice cream van was poisonous. I've told you this before, guys. And that we used to sit and watch, me and my sisters, waiting to see if somebody would die when they got ice cream from the ice cream van. Now, all of this was because my mum was an amazing cook and she just wanted to have amazing food. But I think there's a real problem when people either overfeed kids with sugar and give it as a treat, or when they restrict sugar completely. Because then when you get a taste for it, you go completely nuts. And when I was quite young, about 8, 9, 10, me and my big sister Dina used to steal money from my dad's pocket and then go to the newsagent sweet shop and buy carrier bags of sweets, and then go upstairs without my parents knowing, and we would sit and just eat the whole lot. So it was like a binging thing. I never was into bulimia or anything like that. I'd never binge and throw up, never. But it was the beginning of the binge, and it was quite naughty, and it was secretive. And I would say for years, all the way through my life, I'd be a secretive eater. I would be like cooking for everybody else, but just like constantly taking a biscuit or taking a handful of cereal or taking a bit of bread and dipping it in the gravy. Were you like that? Do you know what I mean? Just like, so I probably would consume thousands of calories, and then it would come to dinner time and I'd go, oh no, I'm not hungry, I'm not eating. I think a lot of people with weight issues or with overeating issues have that. Now, when I say all weight issues or overeating, it's funny because there's quite a few people that I know who are a bit worried about their children's weight. And I always ask them this question, and they worry about how much they're eating. I always ask them this question. I say, if your child was slim, would you be worrying about the large quantity of food that they're eating? And they always say no. But the thing is, that's the thing to worry about, because it's the eating your feelings down. Putting weight on is a byproduct of that, but eating your eating to anesthetize is not good, just like over shopping or addicting to sex or whatever it is. Eating on your feelings, emotional eating, is the problem. The weight is a secondary problem. I mean, years ago when I used to go to Overeaters Anonymous, there would be people in there that were absolutely perfectly slim, like not even like over skinny or anything, just perfectly slim. You'd see them in the street and think, you haven't got a single issue with food, you haven't got a single issue with your weight, nothing wrong with you. But they would be in these Overeating Anonymous meetings sobbing at the misery that they were in because they couldn't stop overeating. Now, the fact that they weren't the sort of people that put on weight was by the by. The fact was that they were making themselves utterly miserable with coming home with whatever their miseries were and stuffing and stuffing and stuffing. And people would talk about things like they would be crying when if the fridge couldn't be open so that they could be near the food. But you would never know it. You would never know it from the outside. So I suppose the point that I'm making is I don't want people in this chat to think about weight. I want you to think about the emotional eating, because everything else comes afterwards. You know, I mean, I am now an okay weight, right? I think I look pretty good for a 55-year-old woman. My husband fancies me. I'm happy with myself. And I've worked really hard to get there. But I still know when I'm doing something with food that will ultimately hurt me. And it's not because I'll be thinking, oh, I put on weight. It's because I think, okay, so you dealt with the stress or the unhappiness or the loneliness or whatever it was you were feeling by eating half a packet of biscuits. And that's really bad for you. It's bad for your soul. It makes you feel horrible after. Somebody the other day, who was it now? Was it Mary? If I can remember your name. Was saying that at 11 o'clock at night she found herself at the microwave eating a microwave burger. And I really, really felt for you when you left that message, because it's like, yeah, what are you going to do except absolutely hate yourself after you've had that burger? I know that feeling. because it's not about nourishing yourself. It's not about enjoying good food with your friends or family. It's about anesthetic. It's about, no, people would bat an eyelid if just before you went to bed you just got a glass of wine and poured a glass of wine down your throat. People don't understand that it's the same problem when you do that with food. You know, some people will get up in the middle of the night and just massively overeat. I never did that, thank God. Some people will get up and do that in their sleep. Food is an anesthetic, and Mark and I often talk about this, and I say to Mark, you're kind of luckier because with alcohol, you can abstain. You can completely abstain. You don't touch it. Mark hasn't gone anywhere near it for 16 years. He doesn't touch it, wouldn't lick it, wouldn't sniff it, nothing. But with food, we have to keep on eating. We can't abstain from it. We can't just say, okay, well, you know, it's a trigger. If I start to eat, then I'm going to eat. I'm going to eat. No, you've got to work out a way to eat. Eat to nourish, eat to enjoy, but not overeat to shut up and swallow down your feelings. So once I got consciousness of that, I can stop myself. I can find myself going to it, and I stop myself and I say, what are you doing? What the first thought is, this piece of bread and butter is going to make me feel better. Somebody earlier was talking about she had a row with her husband, and then I can't remember what you said, you ate, and 2 glasses of wine. Mark and I had a massive row the other day, and I was just stoically I didn't go to overeating. I had one handful of popcorn, and because now I'm able to do that thing where I say, first thought is I'm just going to stuff food in my mouth and it's going to stuff down my feelings. And my God, it does make you feel better for the first few minutes. But I now know yes, it was you, Emma, wasn't it, that was talking about the burger, Emma Staple. I now know the self-loathing that will come afterwards. So I literally stop myself. I said, what are you doing? Where is this going to take you? Where will you end up emotionally? And the answer is always, I will end up in a worse place than I am now. And that's what I say. Sometimes I fail, but much more often nowadays I succeed. Something else that I do is I make sure I make myself really something lovely, and I put it on a lovely plate or a lovely bowl. And one of the things that I really do fail on is that I can't is that sometimes I'm standing when I'm eating. You see me picking in the vlogs, don't you? That's the worst thing. The absolute best thing to do is put it on a nice place, sit down, and really eat something like you're from a beautiful dish, like you are beautiful. I think that there's a lot of self-harming in the way that people that struggle with emotional eating, that's self-harming. It really is stuffing something in that you know is bad for you, that you know is going to leave you feel disgusting, that you know is going to fur up your arteries or cause you to throw up or cause you to put on weight, all those things. There's no other way to describe it than self-harm, no other way. Because what it does to you emotionally, what it does to you physically is harmful. It's really harmful. So, yeah, I make a really big effort to force myself into that first thought, second thought, first thought, second thought. First thought is, oh, the pain will go away. Second thought is the memory. But what it does is bring you a whole lot more. I've said this before on here. The other thing that I do is I say, when I think I'm hungry, I always ask myself first if I'm thirsty, and I have a glass of water. And if I still feel hungry, I say to myself, are you emotionally hungry? And this is, I'm just doing stuff, you know, I'm thinking, are you emotionally hungry? Think of those words. Next time you're going to overeat, think, am I emotionally hungry? Do I want more love? Do I hate my partner? Has my mum just really pissed me off? Am I frustrated at work? Do I wish for this? Listen to the discontent? Now, I'm not saying that you can listen to it and then fix it. If you're not feeling loved enough, that's hard. If you don't like your partner, that's difficult. If you're unhappy with work, you know, these things are part of our lives. I'm not saying that you can magic all that away and then you won't overeat. But what I am saying is that you can get into a pattern of thinking where you say, this is what I do, where I say, yeah, I do feel that. I'm really pissed off with Mark today. I don't know what to do with this anger. But what I do know is eating will not fix it at all. Not at all. Only for minutes. And sometimes when Mark says, you'll hear a lot Mark say in the vlogs, oh, can I eat this? And can I eat that? And people always say to him, why does he have to ask if he can eat something? But actually, it's his little way of checking with me because he's an overeater. He eats on his emotions. And I'll just help him along. And I'll say, well, yeah, you can, but it's going to last about 30 seconds. And how long is the anger and the frustration and the sense of shame and guilt that you're going to feel afterwards when you've overstuffed? Now, that's not to say that I don't believe in everyone eating what they want. I really do believe in that. I've been through the whole gamut of everything. I've done every diet out there, and every diet I went on, I came off it and dieted my way all the way up to obesity. I was like 4 stone heavier than I am now. So I think that we should have cake. I think we should have wine. I think we should have bread and butter. I think we should have the fat on the bacon if we like it. I think people that overeat and try and restrict and try and take out whole food groups and try and take out all the things that they love, I think we always end up having it, but we have 10 times more of it. We overeat on it. If we disallow ourselves, we then end up binging on it. So I really do believe in having what you want, but having the conversation with yourself as well and going, you know, and this sounds tedious, but it is fucking tedious because we've got the ism of eating on our feelings. And if you've got that ism, you have to put some work in. So, you know me, I love my cooking. So I cook beautiful dishes, you know, and I make myself accept. I make myself, that's a weird one to say. No, I don't make myself. I do accept that myself, my body and me are worth nourishing with delicious food. Seems quite hard to say. I'm worth it. Anyway, so yeah, on a day-to-day basis, one day at a time, these are all the little things that I do. I don't always succeed, and I do still emotionally eat sometimes, but these are all the little things I do that keeps me away from the terrible days of overeating and eating shit that I used to do in the past. So, yeah. Patricia Levi, you have to change your eating habits like any other addiction. You do. I think the other thing that you have to, I think something that's important to do is, I think if you have a food, even though I've just said there, I don't believe in massively restricting. I do think if you have a big problem with sugar, if you are really overeating on sugar, I think that it's very, very hard to just have a bit here and there if you've got a massive problem with sugar. I've seen a lot about this in Overeaters Anonymous. I've seen people, they talk about it, they say, I've fallen into the sugar and I lost myself for weeks eating sugar, eating everything that was sweet. So I do think if you have a real problem with sugar, you might have to go cold turkey for a bit. I mean, they do say if it came into the country now, if it came into the world now, it'd be a Class A drug because it works in exactly the same way that cocaine does. So it's highly, highly addictive. If you can get to a point where you have a bit of sugar here and there, then that's good. I mean, I watch Mark. If he has one bit of sugar, he cannot stop. I actually can have some sugar and then stop. My thing is biscuits, so I just don't have them in the house because if I have one, I have two. If I have two, I have four. And I work my way through the packet. Whatever I'm doing all day, I'm just thinking about when am I going to have another biscuit? When am I going to have another biscuit? So, yeah, for me, so if there's something that you know is a trigger, then just don't have it in the house, just for a while till you get yourself back on balance. Rather like when Mark talks about AA, there is the same OA, Overeaters Anonymous, and you can join Zoom meetings and you can find out about how other people help themselves with their overeating, and you know, you can learn a lot. You really can learn a lot just by sitting and listening. You don't even have to talk. You can just listen. Emma Staple, I'm a secret eater. When I'm out with friends, I eat tiny portions, mostly salad. But when no one's looking, there's no filter. Emma, this is absolutely classic. I would suggest to you that you take away the shame and the guilt and the hiding and the secretiveness. I bet you, if you went out, if you had what you wanted to eat, one plateful, not seconds and thirds, next time you go out with your friends, if you're going for a pizza or if you're going whatever, have what you want. Now, of course, when I say have what you want, with a bit of sense. So, like, don't have, you know, a huge double milkshake, 2 garlic breads, a pizza, and then an ice cream, and then chocolates and coffee. I'm not saying that, because clearly that wouldn't be a great idea. But don't go too far away from what you want. I really think this works, honestly. And then when you have what you want, you're not constantly thinking about that thing you didn't have and then secretly stuffing. Because if you've just gone out and had a salad and you've got a good appetite, you're going to get home and you're going to eat way more. You're going to eat way more. I think the secret eating is absolutely our enemy. Emotional eaters, absolutely our enemy. It's this, isn't it? Like before anyone comes in. Because that shame and guilt that you have when you secretly eat just makes you have more shame and guilt. It's just a vicious circle. And then the more shame and guilt you have, the more you overeat. So just, Emma, setting you that goal. Tomorrow, why don't you just have what you want? But think about it. Choose something that you really love. Put it on a plate. Sit and eat and say that you're worth it. Before the meal, just say a little prayer to yourself, saying, you know, thank you for this food and thank you to me, to yourself, for putting a lovely plate of food on this table for me to eat, because I'm worth it. I'm worth it. Rainbow's End, I'm definitely a sugar addict. I can't stop and just eat mindlessly after just one taste. I've done it today all day. It's so hard. The problem is with sugar is that you get this massive spike and then it drops and it makes you, because like lots of, like when I was, after I had the kids and I was breastfeeding, I was eating sugar all the time to stay up because I was so tired. And then I would have a crash and then I would have more sugar and more biscuits. And it's just a vicious circle. So, you know, the good thing is to sort of, why don't you just try and get rid of all the white stuff, the white rice, the white bread, white spaghetti, which all called sugar spikes. Eat good brown rice. Eat good brown rice spaghetti. Eat brown, thick, heavy brown wholemeal bread, and eat a good amount of protein. All these things will stop you being hungry. And don't try and don't overdo it. Like, I will very rarely have one of these, because even just if you're then starting to have loads of Diet Cokes or loads of sweeteners, you've still got that sweet need. You've got to break through it a bit, and then when you're through the other side, it'll only take a couple of days and you'll be over it. And see it as your enemy for a bit. Just go, nope, I'm not going to touch it, because I know if I touch it, I can't stop. Tanya Ferretti, I've cut out the white stuff and intermittent fasting. Feels so good for it. 16-8, that's what I do. No white stuff and intermittent fasting. No white stuff. Alana Scott, I'm an emotional eater and it's getting worse because I'm 17 weeks pregnant but need to watch. I have lupus. Oh, wow, that's a lot, isn't it? 17 weeks pregnant and lupus. Why don't you, next time you feel like you're going to eat and you're in an emotional place, either just write down in a stream of consciousness how you're feeling. And remember, when you write this stuff, this isn't for anyone else to see. It doesn't matter if it's half gobbledygook. Just get those feelings out of you. If you can't do it that way, you know, maybe blast some music. Do something to distract you from the road that you're on. Whether it's go for a walk. You know, if everybody, each time they wanted to go and overeat, went and did something like a walk, like a good walk. You know, us overeaters, we know how often we go to the bread bin, go to the cake tin. Imagine if we just did a little bit of exercise instead. Not a lot, because you don't want to become an exercise addict. Yeah, just break that thought and that road that you're going on. Turn the wheel. Get off the road. Annie Castell, hello, I'm a family member, but cannot see the vlog for members. Annie Castell, you have to click on community and that's where all the Sunday shows and everything are. Just click on community. I used to snack a lot. Sugary biscuits, chocolate bars. My trick was to switch to dried fruits, lime, mango mainly. Me too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you have to be careful with those as well, because I started to really overeat. I did that, and I went on to sticky dates, which I loved, and then I was eating a whole box of them. So still the sugar was being was a massive thing for me. The Body Image Workbook is a book my eating disorder psychologist recommended, and one they use a lot. I was aged 17 to 19 when I went, and I think especially for teenage girls, so balanced and positive. The Body Image Workbook. Thanks for that, Eleni. I've never heard of that. I might get that and have a look. Lucy Rose, I hear you, sister. That's me. Bread. Bread and biscuits. Terrible. Bread and butter. Bread and oil. Bread and bread. Oh, I have to be so careful. Like, if I get into a loaf of white bread, I can't stop. So I just don't touch it. I just don't touch it. I have brown bread. I have brown bread, or I have, I've even got used to rye bread. Hated it to begin with, but I got used to it. You get used to everything in the end. Everything. I'm the opposite. I can't eat after an argument, Mandy Nanny. Oh, yeah. You go one way or the other, don't you? It just affects us. But doesn't that just go to show us that our emotions are so attached to this, and we try and comfort ourselves by putting food into us. And yes, it does for a minute, but not long term. Comfort food is something that you share. You share with yourself when you're in a good place, or you share with friends and family, not something you do hidden away secretly with shame and guilt. That's not proper comfort food. Lost 6 stone 4 years ago by stopping mindless eating. Louise Bolton, good for you. Mindless eating, it's conscious eating. It's chewing. I know lots of you will identify with this. Any overeaters, any emotional eaters. Putting food in your mouth, and before you know it, it's in your stomach and you've hardly chewed it. It's just like, where was the pleasure in that? Do you do that? It's like, oh my God, I didn't even chew that. When I was a teen, I remember I'd be standing at the toaster, and then I'd realise I was halfway through a loaf of bread and I didn't even remember starting it. Gobbling, very bad. Oh, Samantha, right, I'm 20. I literally drink 2 litres of Diet Coke a day. It feels such a relief and release. I can't stop that. Well, that's too much. That's really bad for you, honey. That's what Mark used to do. Reduce it to 1.5 litres, then reduce it to 1, then reduce it to half a litre, and reduce it down gently, because that's a lot of caffeine. Maybe have a coffee, have 1 coffee a day, and drink loads and loads of water. You will start to feel so much better, but you are using it as an anesthetic, so you need to replace it with something else. Yeah, it's highly addictive stuff. Crisp, butty, ready, salted crisps on white bread used to be my worst comfort food. Don't even talk to me about crisp sandwiches. I loved crisp sandwiches so much. Don't want to trigger anyone now to go and have any of this. Joe Buchanan, I actually bought a soda stream to get me off the fizzy juice. Yeah, it's bad. Laura, I can't beat anorexia. I seem to do okay for a while and then plummet again. 3 admissions to hospital and still in this horrible torture. Laura, oh my God. You know, a couple of people that I know that have been into facilities and stuff for anorexia. Sorry, I'm so hot. I couldn't believe it when I asked them whether they'd been to any Overeaters Anonymous meetings afterwards, and they all said no, that the places that they'd been to hadn't ever recommended that. Now, Overeaters Anonymous is not just for people think it's just for fat people. It's not. It's for people that have issues with food. And a couple of people that I've recommended it to, they said they've got so much better than they did with just going into like a rehab. So I don't know if you've ever tried Overeaters Anonymous, but I would really, really recommend it. Really recommend it. To help you break them. I bless you. It's just such a horrible illness, isn't it? It's so horrible, and people don't understand what a nightmare it is for you, and the pain and the depression, and I I'm giving you a virtual hug, Laura. It's too much. Debbie Getty, I eat when I'm stressed and down. It does make me feel better. Yeah, but not for long. Because then you feel ashamed of the... Do you feel ashamed afterwards? Do you think, oh, God, why did I do that? Why did I stuff all that food? East End boy, I've started leaving money at home when I go on walks because I know for a fact if I have it on me, I'll just end up going to shop and spending on sweet and sugar. Brilliant idea. Don't take money out with you. We all talk about overeating, but about the people that don't eat, always wait out their foods. Must be so hard for them too. Exactly, Lucy. Carla, I do think balancing out your sugar helps, especially with hormones, menopause, etc. Plus anxiety and depression. I absolutely agree. It can be so hard. And the thing is, we do start using it because it helps you feel better for a minute or two, but just in the long term, it doesn't. It makes everything worse. Dilara D, since lockdown started, my housemate has been baking a lot, which is her coping mechanism, but it's really triggering for me because she constantly wants me to eat them. Oh my God, I literally couldn't do that. Oh, that's so hard. I mean, I do put stuff in the bin now. I mean, people might say that's a waste of food, but if I've had to cook something for a job I'm doing or something, and it's just I will put it in the bin. I cannot risk just stuffing it all. And to me, it's as much of a waste going into my body when my body doesn't need it as it is going into the bin. It's the same waste. So better to put it in the bin. I would really say to her, I would really have a conversation with her. And if you can't, write her a note, write her a text. Say, listen, I feel a bit awkward. I could send her a text, I feel a bit awkward. Because you're such a brilliant baker and it's been so brilliant. But I'm having a real problem with my overeating. Please feel free to carry on baking, but don't give it to me because I can't cope anymore. It's all so delicious, something like that. But you've got to put a stop to that. It's not fair. It's not fair on you. Faith Goodman. Sorry, you jumped away. I feel worse after. It's a vicious circle. I know, Debbie. It really is. Louise Marie Davis, feeling so sad. Oh, sending you love. Rosie Reed, tried getting in touch with the NHS psychiatric helpline. Did you not get through? Tori Roberts, I gave up crisps and Coke for Lent. I was eating 5 bags a day and 3 or 4 cans a day and haven't touched either since. So far, I've lost a stone. My God. But how much better do you feel? Oh, how much better do you feel? Somebody there saying that hello Nadia, I'm really trying to do the 16 and 8, but I really struggle with healthy choices and not comfort eating. I find I started a choc bar and then I find I've eaten it all of the bar. Okay, don't buy it in the house. If you really are going to have chocolate, set a time that you're going to have it. Say, I'm going to go for that walk on Saturday and I'm going to get a bar of chocolate. I'm going to sit in the park, I'm going to eat it, and I'm really going to enjoy it and save it for that. But if you're going to put it, it's rather like a cocaine addict or an alcoholic sitting with a great pile of it in the drawer. It just doesn't, it's just too much, it's too hard. If you're really struggling with it, it's really, really difficult to have it in the property and not touch it. That's what I would say. I'm really trying. With the 16-8, the thing is now, there are so many things that you don't have to pay anything for. You can go onto YouTube. There's loads of brilliant how to eat healthily in a day, how to eat, on a budget, another quite a good thing can happen. I hate planning food a whole week ahead, but I quite often find if I wake up in the morning and I decide what I'm going to have through the day and I write it down, and then I can kind of stick to it, but I've made the plan myself with food that I want, so it's not a diet. Also, if you're really, really overeating, another quite a good thing to do, and something they recommend in overeating, is to spend a week just writing down everything you eat. Not calories, not calorie counting, just write, because it will just make you realise how many times you pick. Even if you pick up a couple of nuts, write it down, and then you can see how many times you pick unconsciously. And you'll realise that actually you could have 3 gorgeous meals and 2 snacks a day, and probably for the same amount of calories that you're just picking all day. But I don't want you to start thinking about calories. Don't think about calories. Calories is a nightmare. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of messages here, all of which I identify with. Whenever I look for a healthy wheat food plan, a lot of the meals are fish, which I hate. Well, you can always swap that with, whenever they say fish, swap it with something else that you like that's a protein. Swap it with the same amount of chicken, or if you're veggie or vegan, the same amount of beans, legumes. I've bought some small kids chocolate bars to see if my binging is more, because I cut it out completely and crave it and deliver it at Deliveroo it at 8 p.m. to my house. Do you? You Deliveroo chocolate? Just don't have it in the house. You're definitely struggling with it. Don't have it in. You're making your life a lot worse. Nads, how did you learn self-control? I know what I do, but I just emotionally overeat all the time. Well, just to summarise, because it's ever so late, I've just realised it's 11:15. Just to summarise, these are the things that I do. Just to go back, because I've waffled quite a bit. I get up in the morning and decide what I'm going to eat, and I try roughly to keep to that. If I'm hungry, if I think I'm hungry, I have a big glass of water, and then if I still feel hungry, I'll ask myself if I'm emotionally hungry. What am I going through emotionally? If it is something emotional, I try and distract and do something else. Phone a friend, have a bath, watch a TV show, read a book, go for a walk. If I've done all of those things, I go, no, actually, I am really hungry, because this is the trouble, you can get the signals confused. I am actually hungry. I will decide what I want to eat, and I'll make it, and I'll sit down and I'll eat it without any guilt whatsoever. I try not to secretly eat. Don't always succeed, because those things are ingrained in me for so many years. But I try not to secretly eat. That's my big number one. Don't do that, like, because yeah, you feel disgusting, and then when you feel disgusting, well, you do, you overeat. Try and eat as healthily as you can. But that, when I say that, that doesn't mean don't drink anything, don't have anything that's a bit, what should we say, self-indulgent. It's nice to be self-indulgent. It's nice to sometimes have some comfort food. But the really big thing I would say also with the actual food thing is take out all the white stuff. White sugar, white bread, white spaghetti, white pasta, white potatoes. Though I have white potatoes sometimes because I love them. Sweet potatoes, brown rice, brown spaghetti, all of that. Make sure you have some protein in every meal, so you're not actually hungry, so you can start to distinguish between hungry because you didn't eat properly and you didn't nourish your body properly, and emotional hunger. Because a lot of overeaters, you can even be really overweight and actually be nutritionally starving, because you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals and stuff that you need from really good food, because often when we binge on shit food. So the more nutritionally sound your food is, the less likely you are to get like raging hunger where you have to overeat and you start stuffing, like Emma Staple did there, a microwave burger at 11 o'clock at night, because it's not going to do you any good at all. We'll have more of these chats because I think they're really helpful. They help me, and I know that they help people. Whenever I've done them before, everyone's like, yeah, yeah. It's just good. It's good to know that we're not all crazy, that there's loads of us out there. There's loads of us out there, and we have the hardest addiction of all because we still have to do it. And I would say, you know, there's hope, because I was crazy. I was batshit crazy for years, and now I'm on a pretty even keel. I love to cook. I love to eat with my family. I love to eat. I don't have too much shame and guilt about it. Yeah. And I love exercise now for the way it makes me feel, not for the way I'm trying to look. And that's a massive distinction. You know, when I used to exercise, I'd be like, oh, I've got to exercise because I ate all that chocolate and I'm really fat and I'm never going to be... That kind of self-loathing is just a road to nowhere. It just makes everything worse. So exercise for the way it makes you feel. Don't forget, when you exercise, it pumps out natural endorphins, free drugs that are legal, that will pump around your body and make you feel better. And on that note, we shall say good night. But I definitely will do this again. Sorry if I was a bit waffly. I was a bit waffly. It's a bit waffly because there's so much to say always, and sometimes I don't know. I get a bit confused with where I should start, middle and end, because it's such a big subject, such a massive subject. I think I tackled too big a subject in one go. Yeah, it's just, I think the thing is, it's so ingrained in us from such a young age. Food and the complications with it are just, yeah, it's so complex. It's so complex. And whether you're somebody that is very skinny or somebody that is perfectly slim but overeats, or whether you're living with obesity, it's all very complex. It's not as simple as just sorting it out. Why don't you just sort it out? Why don't you just not overeat? We all know, because we, obviously, anyone that's here listening to this has got a similar thing going on. So, yeah. Thanks, guys. It's always lovely to hang out with you. I will do one of these again. Lots of love. Sleep well. 11 o'clock tomorrow live. Even bank holidays, we will be here. Night. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and check out some of our vlogs, our reality shows, for a really good laugh. We're not only miserable, we do other stuff too. And welcome to all the family guests, the new ones that arrived today for our 20th episode that we're so blooming excited about. Thank you. Really, really lovely to see you all. Night. Night. Night.